Hey everyone, today we have Keiko Shinha, one of the co-founders of the Common Ground Foundation, which is an organization that aims to bring ESL education to first-gen immigrants and close the literacy gap. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi everyone. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Keiko, and I'm super excited to be here and share a little more about my organization and what we do.
It's so nice to have you here. So, what inspired you to start the Common Ground Foundation?
So the Common Ground Foundation was something my Alana and I. So Alana is the co-founder of the Common Ground Foundation, but it's something we had interest in for a really long time. We've kind of been exploring ways to be more involved in underrepresented communities such as immigrants, refugees, and other people who are in need of education and that sort of thing. And we've kind of been exploring ways to do that through like cultural workshops in school, but and kind of like other workshops that we've done outside of school. But those were all just local efforts that we did to kind of spread awareness and also spread education. But I guess we wanted to make a greater impact, and that's the reason why it kind of started during winter break, but we met up with each other and then we were exploring ways in which we could um, expand our outreach to people from all over the world. And we found that the easiest way to do this is through online tutoring and an online effort, since we found a great amount of people and a really big community online who is willing to put their time and effort into the same cause that we wanted to put our time and effort into. So I guess that was kind of like the inspiration and the reason why we started it. And yeah, um, that was around December of 2025, and we've kind of just been building and expanding from there.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. As someone who has been I guess like witnessing your expansion, it's been really cool to see, especially in the education space. And given that you've been like involved in education for a while, was there a specific moment that made you realize that like ESL education specifically was an issue you wanted to address?
So I guess because I'm a first generation immigrant myself, this is something that I've had in mind for a very long time. So it wasn't really like a single instance. It was kind of more of like an ongoing effort that Alana and I wanted to continue to expand on.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And when you first started, especially like it is famously hard to like reach out to people, get a response, and especially like have people stay committed, I guess, through the whole process. So, how did you convince people to join?
Yeah, definitely. I guess that was one of the most difficult parts of starting an organization or a foundation. Definitely like finding people who are committed and really people who are passionate about the same thing as you um, can be and is really hard, especially in the beginning. But I guess it was more of just like a consistent effort. I think that was what really pushed us to become or to be where we are today. I think it was really important for us to keep our mission in mind and stay passionate about ESL tutoring, about the communities that we serve, and seeing the impact we were starting to have. Um, we were just able to grow our outreach little by little and find even more people who are passionate about the cause. I do think a lot of our members who are really committed to the Common Ground Foundation, we just found them through luck. I'm very grateful to have the people on the membership, the leadership board, and the membership team supporting me. But I really do think it was an accumulation of just consistent effort, communication, and yeah, definitely like friendships and efforts that I made through our journey.
Yeah, for sure. And can I ask, like, what were some of the primary mechanisms you had of reaching people?
So I think social media is a big thing. One of our TikToks kind of went viral, and I think that was like our starting point. Or not our starting point, but that was really when outreach started to kick in. Um, I think also LinkedIn was kind of a big thing because I was able to connect with a lot of people who have similar interests and activities as I do. And then another thing was kind of just I would ask people to do outreach in locally. So I would have ambassadors, or I have ambassadors from different states, and they do outreach in their own schools or they spread the word through their own communities. So I think that was another big way to kind of gain more members who are interested in this. Yeah.
For sure, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And like on that same note, like what were some of the biggest challenges you had being like a student-led organization specifically?
I think the biggest challenges that we faced were definitely like um, I would say reaching out to the different organizations that I work with, and then it's kind of hard for them to trust you, of course, because we're all high schoolers and or a lot of our members are high schoolers. There's definitely people who are like 20 plus, but that's really a small margin of people within our community. So I do think that one of the biggest challenges is for other organizations to take you seriously. And it's very difficult in the realm of the work we're doing because we work with a lot of immigrants and a lot of refugees who really need this help, but they deserve quality help. So we really want to make sure that our students or our members are giving that quality help to the people in need, and it's not just like a only like a volunteer type of thing. And another challenge I would say is we've been trying to do a lot of fundraising efforts, but it's very difficult for a kind of big organization to do a joint fundraising or donation drive effort, especially because we're so far apart geographically and we run mostly virtually. But yeah.
Yeah, especially like I think collaborating is a great thing, but across geographical distances it becomes, I would say, like exceptionally difficult.
Yeah, definitely.
And especially when we talk about like how you expanded this geographically, what was the biggest challenge in scaling it so that it could operate in multiple areas?
I would say the biggest challenge is just reaching those people. I think the algorithm for different social media platforms is very different, and the types of videos we send out sometimes don't reach people in certain states or certain areas. But honestly, I didn't have too much of a problem. It was kind of just an effort that it was something that started, we got the ball rolling, and then that effort kind of snowballed into something greater. But honestly, after the first few months, which were very difficult to like reach people, we kind of saw like a much greater increase in our members and the places we were able to reach. Yeah.
Yeah. I think at some point it just becomes like the multiplier effect in action.
Yeah, I do think so because what I was saying about our ambassadors and our leaders, I'm very grateful for them because they're able to expand on their own to also help our organization as a whole. And then it's kind of like a joint effort from a lot of different people. And I think that's what makes our job so fun and interesting as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I would say, like, is there a story from a student or family that you've worked with that's kind of just stayed with you over time?
Yeah, so I guess this is one of our first students, but we one of our first organizations that we worked with was Catholic Charities, and there's a local chapter where I live, which is Hawaii, but there's a Catholic Charities Hawaii, and we first reached out to them and we told them that we're offering this ESL service, and they kind of came back to us and they told us that a lot of their clients don't have Wi-Fi and stable access to technology. So I think a story that really stayed with me was like one of those first instances of having our students. And although I'm not the one teaching, we have like tutors and volunteers that actually do the teaching and the tutoring. I heard from the tutors that we were able to help them navigate a way to use technology safely and find a way to kind of um, maneuver through those challenges in having stable Wi-Fi access or stable access to technology. And we were able to help that family through our different resources that our tutors made. So, for example, we would make like homework worksheets or supplements to their homework, and they were actually able to get their grades up a lot. And the parents were very happy with us, and they have communicated to the organization that they would like to keep working with us. And I think that was one of our first success stories that really kind of made me want to push through with this project. Yeah.
Yeah, I see how that like stays with you. I feel like sometimes with philanthropy work, it's so hard to keep going unless you see like tangible results almost.
Yeah, definitely. But I also do think it's hard just because to get those like tangible results because a lot of the time the support that you're giving to the family it doesn't come in exactly like in numbers that we're used to. But I think that's something that's like kind of a change in mentality that I had over time where it's like I would always see big numbers and like big impacts and or big percentages and stuff like that and I would base my impact on that but then I realized that the communities that I'm serving it's hard to have those numbers like those tangible numbers but yeah I realized through that story that we're actually helping a lot more people and a lot more communities than you can just see and assume so that really made me happy yeah.
Yeah, like especially with that mindset shift from like sometimes it's more like qualitative results than quantitative. It actually sets us up really nicely for this next question. Just how is leading a Common Ground Foundation and the other work you've done in ESL education or like refugee education, how has it changed you as a person?
So, as a person, I think I've definitely changed a lot, but not in the way that like a lot of people think I did. So, I feel that this is a subject that I've been passionate about for a very long time. So, honestly, that part didn't really change about me. I did get a lot more passionate about it as I did more work with it and I got to meet more people who are also as passionate, like we were all passionate about it together, I guess. So that was a really nice experience. But I think it also taught me how to be um, very proactive, which is great for me as a student and as a person and for my career going on. And it also taught me the importance of having a community of people who are passionate about the same things as you. And I heard this a lot kind of as a student growing up and also experience going through school and all of your teachers kind of tell you like it's important to find your group of people, but I never really saw it in action until I found this massive group of people who were really interested in and were passionate about the issues that I was passionate about and were interested in kind of solving those issues firsthand. And I think that was such a meaningful experience for me in my life. Yeah.
Yeah, I think finding, like obviously, as you said, finding that group of people can change everything. And you're right, there is such like a massive community around like ESL education, especially with like I guess like current events. It's
Yeah,
something that's
definitely.
becoming much more recognized, and I think this cause is like extremely important, obviously. And like given just the sheer, I guess, size and like how well known this community is, like what would you say is next for the nonprofit? Like what do you I guess like hope to achieve next?
Yeah, so I'm really hoping to not only just expand our tutoring network, but also expand our work elsewhere. So I really want to, again, as I said in the beginning, I really want to be able to do fundraisers and donation drives, anything that will directly help refugee and immigrant communities in need outside of just the tutoring service that and tutoring and educational services that we provide. So this part's kind of really hard. We're still trying to establish ourselves as a 501c3 organization, and this paperwork kind of takes a lot of months and it takes a lot of time for the government to kind of get back to you. But I think after that, our primary goal is to really expand the work that we do to be able to support as many people as we can, whether that be through tangible things like donations or support through our tutoring, more awareness on current politics and how you can live through these hard times, especially with our current political landscape and the economy that we're living in. It can be very difficult for, especially for refugee and immigrant communities. We want to provide more awareness and more resources so people are better able to navigate through these hard times. And I definitely do think those are some of the next steps, even though that's kind of a long list. I guess this is just an effort that I really want to continue to build on. And yeah, um, as soon as we get a lot of our legal documentations in, I really want to start cranking up on the work that we do. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And even without like 501c3 status, which like yeah, I agree it's really long and sometimes very tedious to get. Even
Yeah.
without that, you guys have been doing great work. So, I mean, given this, like what advice would you give students who want to start something impactful?
I would say that to just do it. Honestly, I as a student, I've always it's been really hard for me and I always see people online doing these amazing things and I would think to myself, "Oh, I could never do this," but that's just not true. And I think the first step is the hardest step. Um Really in the beginning, Alana and I were just at a library during winter break and we had nothing to do and we had a cause that we cared about for a really long time and honestly it was just an idea that we started but that idea turned into something so much greater and it's only been around 6 months since we started but it's been such an amazing experience for me and so many opportunities and doors have been opened because I was able to create this foundation and keep going with it. I would also another piece of advice I would give is to keep going. Again, it's hard in the beginning and it's very difficult and you might not see immediate results, but consistency will get you very, very far. And even one or two people that you help, that is still one or two lives that you changed and that you're impacting. And I feel that we get caught up in these big numbers because we're on social media all the time and it starts to feel like it doesn't mean as much. But even if you're only able to help 1 to 10 people, that's a lot of lives that you're impacting. So honestly, I would just say to keep going with it, stay passionate, and just start it. If you want to do something, I would just say, like, yeah, start it.
Yeah, no, you're so right. Sometimes the best thing to do is just put yourself out there, take risks, and just like as you said, just go for it.
Yeah, definitely.
That's all I had for today. Thank you again so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Very grateful for this opportunity to share a little more about the Common Ground Foundation. And if any of you guys are watching this and want to join, yeah, check out our website.
Do check it out. It's very cool.